Welcome into Always the Jags, where we talk all things Jaguars, all things Duval. Guys, Jaguars fans, we are 6-2. We're riding a 5-game winning streak, which is ironically the same winning streak I have in one of my fantasy football leagues. And the week that we beat the Steelers, it was good for so many reasons, because everything else in the league kind of went our way. Not only did we beat the Steelers, but the Saints, which, I mean, the Colts weren't a threat to us in the division, but it put some more space. And the Texans lost to the Panthers, which is beautiful because, again, the Texans probably were our biggest threat, so that gives us even more space between us and the Texans. We still got to beat them when it comes to facing them later on this year. Good week for the Jaguars. And it was a good week for my fantasy football team because I got a win in every single league. Yeah, checked twice. One of them I only won by like 3 points. It was insane. So I'm feeling good. Most Jaguar fans are feeling good. That victory over the Steelers, it was nice to see us foes in just so many different ways. ETN remains the engine of our offense, and that was a pick that I really criticized, honestly. I didn't think we needed ETN. I thought James Robinson was a beast and we should have kept him. And I agree that James Robinson is a beast and we should have kept him. However, I do think ETN brings a element to our offense that no other league really has. He's good with his hands, he's explosive, he can run through the tackles, and he's a threat for a home run hit every single time. So when he and James Robinson were on the field, it wasn't much of a surprise. I mean, it was a surprise to me, but I thought ETN would be more like a scat back. And he ended up usurping the role and just kind of becoming the lead back, and then eventually James Robinson was traded. Still wish we kept James Robinson, though, because watching Tank Bigsby play, it's not like I don't think he's good. He's just seems like he's not quite ready. Pass protection, he can't really block guys. He fumbled again. He showed a lot of burst and a lot of stuff in the preseason, but now that he's playing, actual starting caliber guys, it just feels like he's not really acclimating. And so it's tough because I do like Tank Bigsby as a player. I understand why we drafted him. But at the same time, it's like we probably do need to sit him and let him grow a little bit. The thing is, I think D'Ernest Johnson is a fine backup to ETN, and I think he should kind of take over Bigsby's spot as number 2 on the roll. But I would Robinson. I mean, he got released by the Patriots. I don't think he made the active roster. And depending on how much money he wants, I think the only reason why he didn't make the roster is because they paid him a 2-year, $8 million deal, and they didn't want to pay that much for him. But if we could get him for like $1 million, I would do it. Fantastic pass protector. Most scrimmage yards by an undrafted rookie running back in history. What's not to like to love? And he even said he thought he and ETN were going to form a 1-2 punch, but of course the Jaguars were never going to pay 2 running backs top dollar. But you may not have to pay James Robinson. You may not have to pay him much more than D'Ernest Johnson. So that's my little soapbox. I think we should bring back James Robinson. I think it'll help with a lot of the protection issues that we've still had. Now again, against the Steelers game, talking about our offense, Anton Harrison, he did pretty well against TJ Watt. Honestly, there's a couple of times where, Watt was a turnstile. But, those are the plays that we see because those are the ones that we highlight. The ones that we don't see is all those reps against TJ Watt that Anton Harrison was winning. And people say he probably was winning more than 50%, probably closer to that, to give Trevor a clean pocket. So Anton Harrison is definitely, I think, by the end of the year for sure, especially once we get to the playoffs, the Jaguars are going to feel good about their decision to let Jawan Taylor go and have Anton Harrison and draft Anton Harrison because he's playing better. I think he's kind of playing better than Taylor right now, and he's honestly playing better than most of the other tackles in the league that were drafted. I mean, like the guy that was taken before him, Broderick Jones, he's not even a starter for the Steelers. When a guy got injured, Broderick Jones had to come in, and Josh Allen I don't know if Josh Allen got 2 sacks on him, but, he was not been playing well. And so the Steelers, and so it kind of shows that like Anton Harrison, Phil Rauscher is an amazing offensive line coach. So if a guy has the right traits Phil Rauscher is the guy that can really bring out the best in him. So I'm really excited to see how much further Anton Harrison can progress. It was nice to see Calvin Ridley really get involved in this one. And I think understand what his role is, because he is a deep threat and he is a big play weapon. But he kind of existed in this game to move the chains. He had about 80 something yards. I think it was like 5 or 6 catches. So not big, incredibly explosive plays, but just enough to move the chains going. And Ridley's not really a burner, but he's a guy that runs those routes really well. And so until him and Trevor, I think he will become a big play for threat for us. And I think if he keeps doing games like this, as long as he crosses 1,000 yards, he'll get a second contract from us. At the beginning of the season, people got excited because, he said he was a 1,400-yard receiver playing on a broke foot, and he's not going to crack 1,400 this year. So, we all got excited. I get it. He was probably excited to get back into it too. But again, he's been out of the game for a year. Give him some time. I'm not trying to, you don't want to downgrade Ridley's value at all, because I think he will be valuable to us. And I think the Jaguars will find a way to pay him and pay Josh Allen this offseason. But it's almost kind of better for the Jags if he didn't have that great of a year this year. Like, he's still getting better every single game, trying to get more. Because that means at the end of the year, like, say he only has 1,000 yards, and if he has 1,000-yard season, that'll probably be like $20 million a year. Right about what Mike Williams and Chris Godwin got. That's what the Jaguars are going to say, and that's probably what he's going to end up getting. It'll still be more than Christian Kirk. He'll still be the top paid receiver, and they'll probably do like maybe a 3-year deal. Be like, you have a chance to hit free agency a little bit earlier. Probably half of that guaranteed, maybe 2 of the years guaranteed. Either way, they'll structure it in a way so that the big cap hits come in early before Trevor Lawrence's extension kicks in, because those are the 3 extensions that we're going to be looking at this offseason. But if Ridley went out and got, 1,400 yards, well, then he'd be pushing for or 1,500 yards, he'd be pushing for Devontae Adams money. 28, 29, almost 30 million. So, in a way, he's still not at that tier. I think on some teams, Ridley would still be a number 2 receiver. He would definitely be the number 1 receiver. We have a 1A and B. And so Christian Kirk, he only had 40 yards this game, but he still played excellent. To me, the weapon that stood out the most, though, was Evan Ingram. And if I wasn't going to give my game ball to Travis Etienne, I would give it to Evan Ingram, because he made great contested catches. The Jaguars know exactly how to use him, because the Giants loved his speed and they wanted him to be a deep threat. And for whatever reason, I think that contributed to a lot of Evan Ingram's drops when he's streaking down the field and the ball's coming at him. And I just don't think he really has that speed to be a deep threat. What he is a yak monster, as in he comes across the middle, Trevor throws a bullet to him right on the right path so he can continue running after he catches the ball, and then he'll just stiff arm his way, and next thing you know, we have a first down and extra. He's got speed to get out in front of linebackers on crossing routes, have the speed to hang with cornerbacks and safeties. So let that mismatch, but he's bigger than cornerbacks and safeties, and that's why people really liked the mismatch of him being a deep threat, because he could go up and get it. But right now, using him as a yak monster because he's faster than most linebackers, so he can run away from that coverage, catch the ball, and then he can just out some more yards. So I think this is my favorite way that we've used Evan Ingram, maybe all since he's been here. And it showed. He had 5 catches for 88 yards. But if you look at his yards after the catch on each of those, it was crazy. And every time it was a pivotal moment that we needed to move the chains. So I think, too, to have that kind of threat, because whenever a defense is playing you and you're in 3rd and long, right, most receivers have to go to the sticks. If it's 3rd and 7, you got to go to the sticks, stand there, wait for your route, and the defensive back is waiting for you to disrupt the pass or to break it up before the ball gets here. But with Evan Ingram's ability, it can be 3rd and 7. He can run a 3-yard go route and turn. Trevor Lawrence can put him on him, and Evan Ingram is the guy that can pick up those 4 more yards. So 3rd and long is no longer a thing. Defensive backs, they can't really pin their ears back because Evan Ingram can take a short little pass into an extra 5-6 yards. So that makes Evan Ingram a very special weapon, and I think we're definitely using him in the right way. And I'm glad he's going to be here for the next few years. So, Trevor Lawrence, I still think his progressions are being sped up a little bit. He did throw a pretty bad interception. No one really knows what he was doing there. I mean, even Patrick Mahomes makes bad interceptions, but he also makes some breath. Lawrence has had some breathtaking plays this year. I just don't think quite as many as we were expecting. So I think he's kind of been playing the game very managing it. It's hard because it's like it feels like he wants to like play this hero ball and do this stuff, but defenses around the league are just not allowing that to happen. Like if human plays that Patrick Mahomes has made this year, there's almost none. Like no, almost any quarterback is not having that fantastic of a season. His defenses are just playing really well this year. And I'm not sure exactly what that's a product of, like better scheme, better play. I don't know. But scoring is down. Maybe offenses aren't playing as well. I did notice, like, for the first 5 weeks, not just our offensive line, every offensive line seemed like it was getting handled by defensive lines. And so it's hard to explain exactly what's going on and why that's happening. But it's affected Trevor Lawrence. I still think he's one of the top quarterbacks. Still think he's good enough for us to give him, the bag. I don't think right now he's playing himself into the highest paid quarterback conversation. There's still plenty of time, but, for that to happen, this offense would really need to take off. And either way, I think it'll be fine because I do believe Trevor Lawrence has the ability, like the best quarterback on any field in the NFL. He has the weapons and infrastructure around him to where, depending on what's going on, he can play just as good as your quarterback, if not better. Any quarterback in the league. And he's proven it. He outdueled Josh Allen this year. A couple more. He didn't quite outdo Patrick Mahomes, but we also shouldn't have gone for it on 4th and 5. But, that's a whole nother debate. So we'll see as we get closer to the playoffs and Trevor has to play some really elite quarterbacks. Because I think the next best quarterback he has to face is Brock Purdy with the Niners. And then after that, the next Burrow and Lamar Jackson showdowns, those are going to be fun. And I actually think Trevor Lawrence is going to get his revenge on Joe Burrow on Monday Night Football. So hopefully that will come to fruition. But either way, another great game for the defense. We held the Steelers to 10 points. If you hold teams to 10 points in this league, you're going to win a lot of games. A lot of games. And yeah, Kenny Pickett went out and Mitchell Trubisky came in. But, if you look at their stat lines, I'm pretty sure Mitchell Trubisky moved the ball better than Kenny Pickett did. Mitchell Trubisky got the games only. Kenny Pickett didn't do that. So there wasn't that much of a drop-off in quarterback play. There was just a much better chance of an interception, which we got. Thanks to Dewey Wingard, and I loved watching him throw around that terrible towel. Oh, it was beautiful. I loved it. And that's the thing, Kenny Pickett, he'll play safe. Mitchell Trubisky plays safe. He got the touchdown, also got the interception. A lot of Steelers fans are probably out there mad, feeling like that was disrespectful. Whatever. Old AFC rivals. Some people had still picked the Steelers to win this game, and I didn't think the Jacksonville Jaguars were going to, steamroll it. I thought it was, but it's overall, if you look at our roster, the Jaguars are the better team. Still haven't really got that respect, though, because we're not really, laying out opponents. We've just found a way to win games. And people, I think they typically think that, good teams will just steamroll an inferior opponent. And right now, are just making a pivotal play to win every single one of these games. They won against the Saints. They won against the Colts. They made some pivotal plays. And, the game was still within reach by the fourth quarter by any team. But you don't have to be blowing teams out in order to win. Now, again, you don't want to be like the Vikings. The difference is they got blown out in their losses and just barely squeaked by in these one-score wins. That's not what the Jaguars are doing. The Jaguars are finding a way to win. Yes, we need to be better at closing out the game in the fourth quarter. And because this game against the Steelers could have been over in the third quarter. But we had bad red zone interception, fumbles that killed drives. If all of those go for points, the Steelers are not even talking. They don't have to, we were in field goal range. This is the sad part. And that's why Brandon McManus has been such a great pickup because he's been, automatic from every single spot that he kicks at. So really savvy move by Trent Baalke to shore that up. But our defense, he's playing like a man possessed, and he wants that money, and we are going to give it to him. I'm not exactly sure what the contract is. I'm like, if he ends the year leading the league in sacks, like just being able to say that, or if he works his way into the defensive MVP conversation, because right now, most people are saying it's Myles Garrett. It's kind of where it's heading. Um, but besides Myles Garrett, like, who else is there? Danielle Hunter's leading the league in sacks, and Josh Allen is right behind him. And Josh Allen, he's just been playing insanely well. Insanely well. I think he's only going to continue to grow and get better. And like I said, I don't think the Jaguars have any hesitancy about keeping him. I think he might get tagged for us to try to figure out exactly what we want to pay him. Right now what he's on pace for, I would say, is probably about $25 million. Under TJ Watt, that would put him right under a couple of other guys. Joey Bosa, because I think right now the highest paid defensive player, that would put him right at Myles Garrett level too. Because Myles Garrett is only making $25 million a year, which doesn't seem like a lot anymore now that Bosa just got extended for, I think, either 32 or 34 million. But he was the defensive MVP. So if Josh Allen wants to clear that and hit 35 million, he's got to be the defensive MVP. I think if Josh Allen ends up leading the league in sacks or breaks into the 20s in sacks, because I'm pretty sure he already hit double digits, he might play himself potentially. But I think right now he's pretty good at 25. And I think based upon the effect that he's had on our defense, he's worth anywhere from 25 to 30 million. And the Jaguars, Trent Baalke, I did not think he's going to mess around with this one. I think he's going to get this one done. So, but defense, they are locked in. Darius Williams, I thought since moving him to the outside that he would play better. And he has exceeded all expectations because he played really well last year when he was moved to the outside. If you look at his numbers, like once they took him out of the slot, it went to like 50 completion percentage. Like his play went up. And I think we need to consider like one thing One thing our defensive coordinator, Mike Caldwell, can do to kind of maximize our defensive strengths, because Darius Williams is good enough to hang around with a number one wide receiver with some help. And Tyson Campbell is almost any team's number two wide receiver, because he can hang with number ones. He's supposed to be our number one. But the same way the Saints used Marshawn Lattimore to take away Jamal Agnew and then gave their other cornerback some help and like rolled the coverage to Calvin Ridley, we can play that same style of defense and let Tyson Campbell erase one side of the field and have Darius Williams. Because Tyson Campbell, he's a fantastic player. Still don't know if he's that guy that can just go toe-to-toe with every team's number one. Even the best cornerbacks in the league can still be beaten by a team's number one. Like Jalen Ramsey. There are times Ramsey's going to win. And there are times that Diggs is going to win. DeAndre Hopkins just torched A.J. Terrell. And A.J. Terrell usually goes, there's some pass interference, but A.J. Terrell usually goes with the number one wide receiver. So it's hard to tell exactly what's going to happen on that front. Like I said, you hold a team to 10 points, you're going to win a lot of games. And the interception came at such a crucial moment. Such a crucial moment, because that's the difference between our takeaways as well. Like, you can have a lot of takeaways and still not have wins, because if those takeaways don't come in pivotal moments, they don't mean as much. And that's why I'm pretty sure we lost the turnover battle in New Orleans, because those takeaways didn't come at the right moments. And we lost the turnover battle versus the Steelers. I'm pretty sure it was 3-2, because Trevor threw a pick, and we had 2 fumbles on that weird cute play where they tossed it to Evan Ingram. But there was a pick and 2 fumbles. We lost the turnover battle, but we still won. Why? Because when the Steelers, I think the score was 10-17. The Steelers were driving, threatening to make this. They had just gotten the ball back. Mitchell Trubisky was hitting his targets and he was moving. And then he saw Deontay Johnson and he wanted that deep shot. And Dewey said no. And that is how you suck the life out of a team. And, Andre Cisco was injured. That's the kind of play we expect Cisco to make. Our backup safety, Dewey Wingard, who literally is the name of this podcast, come in. It shows you how deep our defensive roster is right now, because he could step in for Jenkins or Cisco and make that play. And that's the play that broke the Steelers' back completely. They had no answer for it. After that, man, what are we going to do? Because the Jaguars took over. We were already in field goal range, I'm pretty sure. It was just like a couple of passes to get into it. 20-10, the Steelers would never recover. Because after that, even when they moved the ball, they were in desperation mode because they had to score twice. So, he was moving the ball, but then once he got down to the red zone, he knew he couldn't go for a field goal. So he started forcing it. And when that happens, you're playing right into the defense's hands because the Jaguars know that they can get to you. They know that you're going to be passing. We're going to be rushing. We're just not going to give you enough time in the pocket. So, game all around by the Jaguars. Jaguars fans today are going to be enjoying the bye week. Well, as a Jaguars fan, we don't really enjoy the bye week because there's no Jaguars to watch. But like I said, I wanted to break down the Steelers game, especially because Deontay Johnson and Mike Tomlin are doing very unprofessional things at the end of the game. And, Deontay Johnson says, the refs wanted us to win. The Steelers have 5 rings. They are a championship inaugural franchise, one of the franchises that has just been around, double, triple the amount of time the Jaguars have been in the league. Since when has anyone wanted the Jaguars to win? Anyone. On any given day, you can probably find more fans from the other team in the Jaguar Stadium, unless we're playing the Titans. That comment just shows people don't respect the Jaguars. And you know what? Keep it up. Keep disrespecting us. Keep saying that the refs didn't want us to win. Keep thinking that you're better. That's fine. The Jaguars will use that, and we will march on our way all the way to the number 1 seed in the AFC. So, it just really irked me, especially because, you're a professional. You can't just be saying these kind of things. And, Mike Tomlin, I guess he was upset at some call, and he's like, that cost us the game. No, what cost you the game is Mitchell Trubisky threw an interception. That's what cost you the game. What cost you the game is Kenny Pickett couldn't move the ball down the field. What cost Pickens didn't get his feet in bounds. Those were the things that cost you the game. And so, for them to say this stuff is just ridiculous. It's just absolutely ridiculous. And so, they can take that attitude with them. It's not going to help them win games, that's for sure. So, we probably will not be seeing the Steelers again in the playoffs. To worry about them. It's on to the next team. And the 49ers game is going to be pretty interesting. We'll go into it a little bit more next week because, I'm trying to break down the Steelers and, talk about that one. And we'll have a whole bye week. We can talk about what the Jaguars do at the trade deadline. I know everyone's probably got some mixed feelings on this. And we know Balky, he's a good general manager. He's made some good moves that, some of them that we didn't expect to work out. So, like I said, we'll go into all of that next week. But for right now, enjoy the win streak, Jaguars fans. That we have won 5 in a row. And only one of those games was a home game. Only one. We swept the Colts. We've got Will Levis is looking surprisingly good. But we still got him. Because we got the Titans twice. The Texans are our biggest threat, and it is not too early for the Jaguars to start thinking number 1 seed in the AFC. Reason why? We're tied for the best record in the AFC. Chiefs are 6-2, Ravens are 6-2, Dolphins are 6-2, Jaguars are 6-2. One thing that's been a little bit surprising is that it's hard to tell because, we kind of naturally thought that the that the Bills were going to be the top dogs in the AFC East, but it's kind of looking like the Dolphins have been playing like the top dog in the AFC East. But the last time the Bills and the Dolphins played, the Bills put them down. Now, the Bills have a lot of injuries, and that might be contributing to why they're not seeming to play so well. But, the Bills are going to be fortunate if they get in on a wild card. And then, we kind of expected the Bengals to be up there. But right now, the Ravens are just demolishing and just running through. Like the way they dismantled Detroit was kind of scary. It was kind of scary. So that's going to be a very pivotal game. So next week, since we're on the bye week and we won't really have a game to talk about, I'll talk more about what the Jaguars did at the trade deadline. Talk a little bit more about what I think we should have done at the trade deadline, the upcoming matchup versus the Niners, and we'll take a look at what winnable games we think we have on there and where we ultimately think the Jaguars are going to end up. Oh, and I cannot forget to let you guys know, I have purchased my tickets already to Tailgate with Tony with the Boselli Foundation. All the ticket proceeds are going to go to the Boselli Foundation does, helping out, underprivileged youth, helping people, really turn their lives around when they've fallen on some unfortunate circumstances. So it's a great cause to get behind, and it's going to be a chance to meet some of the Jaguars greats. And I am so excited to be able to go and take a part of that in Charlotte, North Carolina. So I'm coming all the way 500 miles, coming back to stay with my family, so I can tailgate with Tony, and that is on November 19th. November 19th from 10 to 12:30. The information, I'll drop a link in the description as to where you can find it, and make sure you enter this code to get some off. Tony25. Enter the code Tony25 so you can get a discount on your tickets and so you can tailgate with us and tailgate for Tony. So you can tailgate with Tony and meet some of the Jaguars legends before we take on the Titans. I will be there. There's going to be some great live music. I'm so excited to be able to come down and celebrate, which will hopefully be another victory. So again, that is the Boselli Foundation. You want to go to bosellifoundation.com, and in the podcast descriptions, you can go right now and purchase your tickets, and you want to listen for the code Tony25. You want to type in the code Tony25 so you can save some money, buy yourself a ticket, and enjoy the tailgating experience with some Jaguars fans. Jaguars legends like Fred Taylor, and again, enjoy the atmosphere of being there and supporting a really good cause. It's a really good cause to get behind, and I hope you guys can make it. So yeah. So like I said, we'll enjoy this bye week. I'll get back on the podcast again, and I'll remind you guys, next week, for the next couple of weeks, I'll put that link in there. Of course, it was always the Jags.